Alright, so we have Flynn.
Go for it, Finn.
Flynn is an interesting character. Flynn probably has Asperger's, so he's on the autism spectrum, if I remember what Asperger's is. I think it's associated or somewhere on the spectrum. I don't
It's
remember.
somewhere in there, I think.
So what this kind of translates to is he doesn't understand people the same way people understand people, typically. He's neurodivergent, so he doesn't understand people the way neurotypical people do, or non-neurodivergent, if you want. So, what this means is his life has been very different, and he doesn't really have the ability to fully control himself as much, and he could act in ways that to us seem very strange. His personality, though, we don't see him that much when he's young. At least I haven't seen him that much when he's young before the whole Sydney incident. But I have a feeling that he, like almost everybody on this list, has a massive amount of trauma, and for him, he doesn't have the ability to really process that trauma like everybody else can.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Because what we've seen, I think you and I have both seen, like the mass amount of echo that you've consumed, like the amount of it. You've basically seen how people treat him when he's trying to get answers out of TJ.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, they completely dismiss his need for what's the word?
Reconciliation?
Yeah, reconciliation, closure. His need for closure is dependent on him closing up the holes in his knowledge about what actually happened to Sydney, because Sydney's an otter, and somehow he drowned.
Yeah.
Sure, it's possible because otters need to breathe water, but Sydney's pretty fit. Sydney was one of those guys who liked wrestling with people. Sydney was one of those guys who was out running around. He's not unfit like Carl. Carl, you would fully expect to probably drown in the water if he was thrown into the deep end. Not because he's a ram, but because he's just not physically that fit. If anything, you would hope that he would just float because he's so much fat.
Wow.
Sydney, and I have the same thing. Like, I can swim, but for the most part, I'm just hoping I don't sink like a log. I'm depending on my fat to keep me up. I'm 270 pounds of, please, fat, do your work. I fill my lungs, so whenever I fill my lungs with air to make sure my head doesn't dip down there into the water. But anyways, yeah, he needs to have closure, and the only way he's really going to do that is for him to close up the suspicions that there was foul play involved in Sydney's, demise. And everyone else is like, we all kind of had that, but and he's like, buddy. And I think, have you and I got to the point where we saw what happened? Yeah, we have, right? With Sydney's dad.
Yes.
Yeah, so you know how much Flynn actually went through to help Sydney.
Yeah, and
like Flynn
trauma.
went through that shared trauma.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that none of the rest of them. So Sydney was much closer. I mean, Flynn was much closer with Sydney than anyone else. So him wanting to really know what happened to his buddy, like probably his best friend, in the entire town, is like, that's eating him alive, and everyone else is blocking him. And so yeah, he's got much more trauma than anyone else.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. So,
plus, I want to consider also the fact that I've heard country folk, and Echo is out in the middle of the country, so definitely country. Flynn is 100% a country boy. He likes to fish. He likes to hunt. And he's an outdoors guy. He's definitely a country boy, and for what I've heard, country folk are super loyal. Like, they are hella loyal, from what I've heard.
Yeah, you get your small town. Yeah.
Yeah. and Echo's a really small town. So yeah, and we saw from when we saw from Leo, he is extremely loyal, and he's actually really, really smart when it comes to like people are going to suspect that you did something, Sydney, because the angle of the hole and all that with the length of the rifle, and he was considering all that. Like, it's gonna look sussy.
That's right. It's gonna look bad.
It's gonna look real bad, and people are gonna do it. So your dad's gonna have to basically have just walked away, left the van, or left his truck. And yeah, he was just trying to take care of his friend the very best way. He was trying to make the best of like an extremely bad situation.
I agree.
So yeah, in a way, I'm hesitant to say I care about Flynn, but I kind of feel for him.
I can understand that. What I get from Flynn is that he has so many emotional wounds that for him, it's kind of one of those things where he needs hedonism in his life to feel happy. So from that perspective, that's why he takes people to the smoke room. And he's like, why did you bring my fucking roommate? And why the hell did you bring Carl? What's wrong with you? And he just kind of does his own thing. Like, he's like, look, abandon. This is literally what this is. This is coming here, doing all kinds of cool, weird shit, with complete abandon for rules, regulations. This is cutting loose. So he lives in a world where he needs to be in control and then to relinquish control. So, because he's scared of being himself. Flynn is a character who cannot be vulnerable, so he has to mask constantly and always give himself an out. He'd be a fantastic lawyer.
He's always masking because he can't let down his guard around his friends or anyone else.
Correct. So in that regard, it's kind of scary, right? Because he's just going to explode sooner or later, which does explain why he's constantly blowing up whenever any of his major stressors like Sydney get brought up. He's always freaking out about these things. However, when a certain thing happens and he does learn what happened to Sydney, instead of trying to murder someone, he instead just decides to lock them in a room. So I mean, he doesn't just go for the throat and be like, die, you friggin' murderer. He's instead just, okay, well, I need to process this and I don't want you leaving, so get in this room. Goodbye. I'll be back. You probably won't die.
He does do the reasonable thing of smacking Chase in the face first, though. You murdered my best friend. Thwack.
But
violence solves everything. Didn't you know? Didn't you know?
But he's just like, yeah, he tries. He tries. And from his perspective, he really just sees Chase as being extremely manipulative and also just kind of
boring.
No, it's not that.
Dull. A rock.
For him, he views Chase as like a person who could have whatever he wants and is completely wasting his potential. Which is, fair. But at the same time, we're talking about somebody who has to mask everything and live in extremes. So the fact that Chase is kind of a wet blanket compared to Flynn's extremes, the blanket is either frozen or it's on fire. That's kind of a thing. But thing is, if you would have to think about context with Flynn. If he's going to be your best friend that you go and hang out with, if you understand how he operates, then you can avoid those problems. If you don't understand how those problems operate and you just don't care, you're like, screw that guy, then yeah, Flynn can come off as incredibly abrasive and mean and horrible. Like, he even tells his roommate, he'll tell his roommate, okay, fuck off for a while. And to an extent, that is very refreshing. Like, having someone who can be like, hey, I need to be alone right now, bye. and then you go away and you leave them alone for a while, that can be really nice, right? But it's clear that he needs a shitload of therapy, for one. He needs a shitload of help. And if he can get all that done, he can go out of these extremes. But he's also a character who is willing to have you come to new worlds and give you new experiences. And I do like that. I do like that he does take Chase to a certain place that's filled with smoke, and it might be a room, and lures him over there. But I also don't like that he is so evasive about it. He's setting up this little, like, trail of, pieces of chocolate. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Oh, smoke room.
Yeah, that's putting his phone out so
Yeah.
Chase could see it is like, it's very subtle, and it gives him an out. Versus
Exactly.
like, I just forgot my phone, and you went snooping.
I cannot
Kind of
stand
thing
that
like
shit.
that.
I don't like that
I
shit.
can't stand it. No, it's so manipulative.
It's like, I mean, yes and no. I wouldn't say it's
I
manipulative.
don't know if it's manipulative, but it's definitely something that would leave an extremely bad taste in my mouth, and I would absolutely hate dealing with that. Like, just me. Like, my love language is people treating me good, treating me well. Flynn treats people like utter shit, and I would absolutely hate that.
He treats people like shit because there's an emotional barrier. He's scared of you. Okay, this is the whole thing. We have a lot more. Like, Echo is just filled with tons and tons and tons of dismissive, avoidant people. Like, that's just how it is. So, I don't think there. I don't think there's a character who's anxious avoidant. Like, even if we look at the Husky, I don't think he's anxious avoidant. So, for Flynn, him being a smash, well, let's do the friend. Let's do the if we like them or not part first. I think Flynn is someone where you have to be direct with him, and you have to be the one being like, "Hey, do you want to do this? Hey, do you want to do that?"
I'd be very assertive with Flynn because I just could not stand being around him. So
Yeah,
for me, if I had to put him somewhere, it would be that the only good thing about him is I understand the trauma to an extent, like to a surface extent, and I feel bad for him. And I like the fact that he is hella loyal. Like, if he's your friend, he will treat you like shit. But he kind of strikes me as a guy that if you're sick, he'll probably bring you soup. If you have a shit diet like Carl, he'll randomly give you like this surprise where it's like, here's some fresh fish that I caught and cooked and brought over, so you have something to eat other than this crap that's going to fill your veins with cholesterol and clog you up and kill you at an early age. Like, he cares about his friends. He just does it in such a very surprising way that I just like that I like. That's going to keep him from being a D, but he's definitely a C. For me, he's a C. Because if it weren't for the fact that he does show how much he cares for you, with surprises and just like loyalty, he'd be a D. But I need to have people who don't treat me like shit on a daily basis, or else it just destroys our relationship extremely fast. If people mistreat me, it's just like, I don't want to be around you. I don't want to know you. If I have to depend on you, that's one thing, and it makes it even worse because now I feel trapped with someone who's abusive.
Yeah, for me,
And that's how I consider it. So
Yeah.
Go ahead, Flynn. Sorry.
For me, looking at Flynn, I'm just like, okay, Flynn, I'll tell you what, we will totally be friends, but our friendship is mostly just sexual and in a certain room that's full of smoke. How's that? And he would probably be like, that's fine.
Yeah, at least he would know where you're at, and like you'd just be another toy. Like
Yeah,
when he went, you would be a smoke room buddy.
yeah, pretty much. It'd just be like, okay, look, if
That's fine.
yeah, and that's fine. It's just one of those things where it's like, okay, look, if you want me to do something, like you have to be very direct with some people. Okay, it would just be one of those things where it's like, look, if you want me to do something with you, do not leave a trail of candy for me to follow to figure out what in the hell you want. Just tell me. Done. Period. So if he's unwilling to, and you know, let's keep in mind here, like there is a good amount of rational fear that he has. There's a good amount of, if he's trying to lure you or potentially get you to come to this really fucking weird place. Let's just be clear here. Like the places that are like the smoke room, those are not places that most people will go to, right? Those are places that hedonists go to. And most people do not like thinking of themselves as hedonists because most people have this, at least most Christians in America have this wacky ass idea that like sex and love and all this stuff is, it needs to be controlled or sacred or something like that. And you know, you can make whatever argument you want with that. But the thing is, at the end of the day, fun is fun. And why people do what they do is up to them. So he is someone who will help you come on a cool adventure with him. But at the same time, he is someone who expects you to be willing to accept the consequences of your own damn actions. He is not going to baby you. He is not going to protect you. If you ask him to protect you, he might protect you. He's also the friend who shows, as you said, when you're sick, he's the friend who shows up and he has this nice immaculate soup and he hands you the soup and he pats you in the head, gives you a little kiss on the cheek, and then tells you to get the fuck better already. And then he leaves. Says, wash your goddamn hands next time. And then he leaves. It's like, oh.
I don't know if he would do all that. It'd be like, here's soup so you don't here's soup so you can get well fast.
I'm slightly exaggerating.
Take care of yourself. Take care of your damn self.
I'm slightly exaggerating to like really push the point across. So he's the character, he's the person who shows up, pats you on the head, says, okay, good job getting better. Next time, how about you not let your dumbass self get sick in the first place? It's like, okay.
That's fun. That's it. Yeah. Now you're in the Flynn mindset.
So, which is completely valid, right? Like, it's completely valid. If you let yourself get sick, that to an extent that's on you. To an extent that's on other people. Like, but here's the thing: unless you are someone who's worked at a hospital or something like that, you're not thinking about washing your hands all the time. You're not thinking about germs. When I go to the store to buy vegetables or fruit or something, I don't lick my finger to open those little plastic bags. I will sit there and try to find any possible way to open that damn bag without putting any of my fluids on it. I will spit on my finger before I put that shit in my mouth because I don't know.
What I do.
Yeah,
I just put some spittle on my finger and
But I won't lick it. I won't put my finger in my mouth.
No.
No.
I just literally spray like droplets on my finger.
Yeah.
I'll look like a complete fucking weirdo before I stick my finger in my mouth to go open the bag.
Yeah, but most people, they just lick their finger and they open the bag. And they don't think about all the other people who touched that fruit. They don't think about all the people who have touched this cart. They don't think about all the people who opened the doors. They don't think about all the people who just went and took a dump in the bathroom and walked out without washing their hands and are just walking around touching everything, right? But, so, the whole thing with Flynn is, in the right contexts, he could be a B. In the wrong contexts, he's like a C or a D. So he's in a weird area. He's like a C plus, B minus ish area.
He's always just stuck in consideration.
Yeah, he's
between B and C.
Yeah, Flynn is a character that is only good in his specific ways. And the thing is, once you understand how someone works, you can sort of work around that. If Flynn gets closure for, Sydney, then he can get healthier and he can grow around that. If you join his whole pack structure at the smoke room, you can build around that. You can understand where he's coming
I'm
from.
very curious on your take at the end of Jenna's route. So when we get there, I would be very curious because some real bad shit happens to Carl. So that's the one where you're going to have a field day with Echo.
So, okay, so we have B. Flynn is a conditional B for me, and he's a C for you.
Okay, so I do have a question before we move on to put him in like smash or pass, but you think Flynn is the disorganized, ambivalent attachment disorder?
No, he's dismissive avoidant. It is incredibly difficult to write an accurate, hyper complex one. It is incredibly difficult to write that in a way that makes any sense. And that is a character that you would portray over the course of an entire book, most likely. Not a character that you're supposed to quickly and easily understand. Flynn is more Tony Stark than anything. Like, think about it. Like, if you take Tony Stark and you take Flynn, they operate very similar to each other, right? When you start getting close to Tony Stark, he tells you to fuck off. Well, he fucks you, and then he tells you to fuck off. Because, he doesn't want this whole emotion thing. Flynn will take you to the smoke room and fuck you, and then he'll tell you to fuck off until he's horny again, and then he invites you to the smoke room again. Or, you both come up with your own relationship structure that you're going to do, where, whenever you want to lay, you're like, hey, Flynn. And he's like, come over. And then when he's done with you, he's like, okay, get out of my room. You want to eat food? I'll make you food. You want to watch TV? You can watch TV. But I'm busy. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
So if you understand that and you're okay with that, and you're okay with the fact that you are not going to get close to this guy at all, ever, emotionally, and you're willing to just enjoy that hedonistic pursuit, it works great. If that is a huge deal breaker for you, and you absolutely need to be, emotionally intimate with somebody for the physical intimacy, the hedonistic aspect of it to work, then he is definitely a deal breaker. No way.
Yeah, for me, I don't know if I would need like the emotional closeness, but just the way he treats you on a daily basis would be absolute pass material. So yeah, he is a hard pass for Terry.
Yeah, he's definitely a person that you have to understand and handle with care to an extent. So, in the context of he is a smoke room buddy, we'll go with Smash, but that's really all what he is. Right? Me and him would know we are literally just friends who fuck. That's it. We're not buddies. We're not best friends. It's he holds me down and fucks me, and that's it. That's a relationship. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
In Britain, you can literally go up to your friends and be like, hey, fancy a shag? You get dopamine and oxytocin, I get dopamine and oxytocin, we all win. So what's the problem?
I see this as an absolute win.
Yeah, right? So, but outside of those interests, outside of those common interests, he will have no interest in you whatsoever.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
And that's fine.
And he eats very well. He takes care of himself very well, which I would appreciate a lot.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have like that, he doesn't have like a crappy body. You know, he actually looks pretty good. So if it weren't for the horrible attitude, he would be a smash.
Yeah, you know,
You know, if he's, but since he has that horrible way of treating people, he's an absolute pass because I just would not be able to get around that.
yeah, it's one of those things where, you know, he'll make you a salad, and then he'll eat lots and lots of ranch. Then after you both have eaten your salads, he'll put lots and lots of ranch on you.
Yep, that is it.